guys, it's November the 8th, 2024, and I hope everybody's been having a great Friday so far today. Guys, I'm sorry I couldn't do a video yesterday, but I just did not feel well. I was really hoping that if I gave it some time yesterday that I would start to feel better. I like to try to get these videos done in the morning, but here recently, since I've gotten home from the hospital, it's just been a struggle for me to get them done early. So I usually wait till the afternoon now. I'm really hoping that, once I start to get to feeling better, that I'll be able to start doing these videos earlier again so I can get them up early for you guys. But ever since I went to the hospital, things have just been such a struggle. And I've had so many doctor's appointments ever since I got out. So it's been a lot of going back and forth to the doctor, and I've had to get people to give me rides because, my doctor's offices are far. Most of my doctor's offices are at least an hour away, and I can't drive that far by myself. I just get sick too much, and I've been having so many problems with my blood sugar here lately. And when my blood sugar gets really, really high or really low, it makes me feel really, really bad. When my blood sugar gets really high, it makes me I get a really bad headache. I get really, really, really nauseous, and I just get really lethargic. I just don't feel good. It makes me feel like I have the flu, to be honest with you, and that's how I felt all day yesterday. And I was taking my insulin like I was supposed to. It's just, I haven't been able to get up and do a whole lot lately. Ever since I got back home, I've been doing a lot of laying around. I got sick after I got home from the hospital. That had me down for like a week and a half, and it's just been one thing after another. And yesterday, I just couldn't get my blood sugar to go down. Didn't matter how much insulin I took. My blood sugar was like almost 300 or 300 all day long. It was up in the upper 200s, lower 300s all day. And I just felt bad. I had this pounding headache all day yesterday. It just would not go away. But that's why I didn't do a video yesterday. It's just my blood sugar was just completely out of control. And it's better today. But once again, I'm sorry I didn't do a video yesterday. I just didn't feel up to it. But what I wanted to talk about today is something I've done a video about in the past. And what that is something that I dealt with last night. And what that is having dreams about getting intoxicated. And I had one of those last night. It was a nightmare, to be quite honest with you. And I'm just wondering, have you guys ever had a dream about getting intoxicated since you've been sober, or whatever it is, whether it be drinking or using a substance of whatever sort? Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced that as well. I don't have a lot of dreams normally, and if I do, I don't remember them for the most part. I'm not one of those people that has a lot of dreams, or I don't really remember my dreams. But the dreams, when I do remember them, and when I do have dreams, they're rather vivid. Like I said, on most nights, if I do dream, I don't remember anything. I just wake up in the morning and I have no recollection of dreaming at all. But when I do have dreams, they're usually rather frightening, very intense, and very vivid dreams. I mean, they feel like it's reality for me. And this morning, I woke up in a cold sweat. My clothes were completely soaked. The bed sheets were soaked, and I jerked awake because I was dreaming that I was intoxicated, and it's very, very frightening. It took me a while this morning to kind of shake myself out of it and realize that dream wasn't real. Because when I woke up this morning, I had this feeling of shame. I felt so guilty, like I had really gotten intoxicated last night. And it was very, very, very scary. And the thing about it is that in my dream, I was I was completely gone, completely wasted. And I had this dream that I was hanging around with all of my old guys from my previous job. I was a chef. I've told you guys this before, but I used to be a chef. And in my dream, I guess it was back a couple years ago, I was dreaming about being back a couple years ago. I was hanging around with my old employees, and it was a pretty long and, like I said, vivid dream. Like, I remember like everything that happened in it, and we were trying to get ready for a wedding. It was like this whole to-do. Like, it was like I had a whole work day. I was in the kitchen trying to get all the stuff together for this big wedding that we had going on. And I remember like telling one of my guys that his dice on the vegetables that he was cutting up was not correct. Really detailed. It was a very detailed dream. And like, I remember like everything that happened in this dream. And we like executed the wedding. And it was a really, really big wedding at that as well. And like, I remember like standing back, because like often when we would have weddings, there were usually like carving stations, and we would have like 2 buffets set up. So there'd be like a buffet on one side of the wedding and a buffet on the other. Because when you have really big weddings like that, you got to split the buffets up, and you have to do a lot of times. Gosh, I can't remember what it's even called, but you have to like let the tables know to get up and go through the buffet, because you just don't want the whole wedding to get up at one time, especially if it's like a 500-person wedding. You don't want all 500 people getting up at the same time and trying to go through the buffets at the same time. And often what we would do is we would split up, because a lot of times we would have our weddings outside in a big tent that they would rent. And we would have the tent split into 2. So we would say, everybody on this side of the dance floor goes to this buffet over here, and everybody on this side of the dance floor goes to this buffet over here. And, I had my guys, they were at the very end of each buffet. We would often have carving stations. And in my dream last night, there was carving stations. We had a tenderloin, a whole roasted tenderloin on the carving stations. And, I went up and talked with one of my guys. I remember like all of these details. And I walked up to one of my guys, and he was slicing the tenderloin. And tenderloin, I'm sure you guys know, is not cheap. Very, very expensive. And a lot of times when I had new guys, if I put them on the carving station, they would start slicing these big chunks of meat. And you don't do that. You slice very thin slices off the tenderloin or fillet. And, then you place it on the people's plate, and a lot of times they get like a dinner roll or 2, and then like horseradish sauce, horseradish cream, or some kind of like Creole mustard or something. And a lot of times we'll make little sandwiches and stuff like that. And in my dream, I'm like fussing at one of my guys and telling him, don't slice that so thick. I remember all this stuff from the dream. And then the wedding was over, we cleaned everything up, and then I told my guys I was going to take them out to the bar because everybody did such a good job. And we went to the bar, and it was a nightmare. It really was. And it was like I knew exactly what was going on in the dream, and it was almost like it was I forget what they call that, like when you actually are like aware of when you're in the dream. It was like I was aware that I was in the dream, but I wasn't aware. I know that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it just seems so realistic. And we were in the bar, and we walked in, and the first thing I ordered was a beer, and started drinking beer. And then I started ordering shots, and I've talked about this too, but I used to drink that Fireball stuff back in the day. And I was ordering shots of Fireball, and I could taste it. I could taste the beer. The foam, I remember like the foam going up my nose as I poured the big mug up, and like smelling the bubbles. They were getting stuck in my mustache. This was such a realistic dream. And I remember thinking to myself, like, how good the beer tasted. And then I started ordering shots, and I was ordering shots of Fireball, taking those shots of Fireball. I could feel the burn of the liquor going down my throat. I could taste that cinnamon, and that Fireball is kind of spicy when you drink it. And like, it was like hot as I drank the Fireball shots. And I ended up getting like really intoxicated in my dream. And, I was like seeing double. I mean, I got really wasted drunk in my dream and was seeing double. I was bumping into stuff. I couldn't walk correctly. And I remember like towards the end of my dream, we had like my guys like were like, you need to go. Because this is often how I used to get back in the day. I was always that guy that got so intoxicated that people had to help me, and it was always just so dramatic. And it was always something where somebody had to give me a ride home, and people were always like trying to drag me out of the bar because I didn't want to leave. But people knew, like I was in there like really showing out. I've talked about how crazy I used to get back in the day when I drank, and that's what happened in my dream last night. I started acting really wild. And my guys were like, we need to get you out of here. And I started arguing with them and told them I don't want to leave, I want to stay. And they were trying to make me go. And they eventually like paid the tab and made me leave. And they like put my arms around their shoulders and like carried me out of the bar. And when we got outside, I remember I couldn't even walk. I was so intoxicated, and it brought back so many memories of back in those days and what it used to be like for me when I was a drinker. Excuse me, my mouth's really dry, but that used to be my life. I mean, it really was. And I've spoken about this, but any time that I ever went out to a bar, I always got a phone call the next morning, and it was always, do you remember what you did last night? Every single time. I mean, without fail. And it was like all day long. I had this like crippling anxiety I was like waiting for that phone call all day. All day long, I had that feeling like somebody's going to call me and say, do you know what you did last night? Because like I said, that always happened to me. And it's crazy too, because I got a phone call from my brother this afternoon. And as soon as I saw that it was him on the caller ID, my heart sank. And I felt like he was going to be, was calling me to tell me, do you remember what you did last night? And then it clicked to me. I was like, that was a dream. That didn't really happen. But it's like all day long, I've had this like guilty, shameful feeling all day, and I can't make it go away. I still feel that way right now. And it's like 4 something in the afternoon right now. It's 4:40 in the afternoon. And I still have that guilty, shameful feeling, and I can't make it go away. I can't imagine how I would feel if I actually really did drink last night. And it was just a dream. And I've got this feeling that will not dissipate. It's stuck with me the entire day. And I keep getting these flashbacks, thinking back to my dream last night. And it's been quite some time since I've had one of these dreams like this. That was this intense too. It was such an intense, vivid dream. It felt so real. I don't know why. It's not like I was really thinking about alcohol yesterday. I didn't have any urges to drink yesterday. I felt too bad. So it's not like I spent all day long like having cravings or anything like that, because there are days where I do have cravings, and so there are days where I think about alcohol like a lot. I'll have cravings, especially on a really bad day. If I've been, something really upset me, if I'm just in a really foul mood that day for something, something just really pissed me off or something like that. And, those are the days where I really start to think about drinking a lot. And, I just can't get that thought out of my head of how good a beer would be, and, how that drink would just, relax me and help me forget about, my problems, when at the end of the day, it's not gonna make any of our problems go away. I speak about this all the time, but if anything, if we're having a bad day, if something really bad happened and then we go and we drink, we just added more problems to the problem that we already had. If anything, you might forget about those problems for that night. It's going to make those problems go away that night. I mean, it will. It's going to numb you to the point where you're going to forget about your problems. And whatever that big problem is that bothered you that day, you're going to be able to forget about it. But on the flip side of the coin, sometimes, when we drink, when we're having a really bad day, it can like magnify whatever that problem is. There were a lot of times back when I used to be a drinker, if I was having a really bad day, something bad happened at work, and I got off work and thought I'm just going to drink and it's going to make my problems go away for tonight, I would really start to harp on whatever it was that went wrong that day, and would really start going down this negative hill and couldn't get myself out of that hole. I would get down in this negative hole and would really start to get deep into the negativity. I'd come home from work, my wife would be in a really good mood, kids are in a good mood, and, I would just be in this foul mood, and, I would start drinking, and I wouldn't want to speak to anybody. I would isolate myself. When I got off work at night, I would go straight to my back porch most days. Because I smoked and I wanted to sit. I never smoked in my house, so I always smoked outside. So I would, get off work, make myself a really huge drink, and I would already have had like 2 drinks on the way home. But then I would get home, make myself a big drink, and then I would just go sit on my back porch and drink all night long and just smoke cigarettes and sit on my back porch. I wouldn't have music playing or anything. I would just sit there on my back porch and just stare off into space and just drink and smoke and, not speak to anybody. I would isolate, and that's just what I did. I don't do that anymore, but that's just what I did when I was a drinker. For some reason, when I was drinking, I wanted to isolate. I wanted to get away from everybody, and that's just not a good way to do things. Now, I have spoken about this. Now, if I'm having a really bad day and I get upset, if I get into an argument with my wife, for instance, which we don't fight like that, but if we have a disagreement about something, I'll just walk outside for a few minutes, walk off into the woods, or either get in my car and maybe just sit in my car, or either just drive to the end of my driveway and sit in my vehicle for a few minutes, just to give myself a chance to cool off, and then I'll come back. I do remove myself from situations when I start to feel like I'm about to get angry now, because I just don't want to argue with anybody. I don't want to get myself involved in that kind of stuff. I don't want to get my heart racing or anything like that, but I'm kind of getting away from what I was talking about. My point is in today's video is that, for one, I wanted to ask you guys, have you guys ever had a dream that you got intoxicated and it felt so real that you woke up the next morning feeling guilty and you feel ashamed of yourself? Am I the only one that's ever had this happen? I doubt it, but I'm just wondering how often this happens to people. This has happened to me before, actually a good bit of times, but this is the first time in a while that it's happened. And it's been on my mind all day. It's bothered me all day. I just can't get it out of my head. I keep going back to back to my dream, and these little fragments of my dream that just kind of stick out. And when that last little bit of my dream, when I was walking out of the bar with those guys, and I was stumbling around, and I remember I was seeing double. I mean, it was just like I was completely blackout drunk. And I felt sick. I mean, everything. I had the hiccups because I used to, anytime I got super duper drunk, I always got the hiccups. Always got the hiccups. For one, because I never ate. Never. When I was drinking, I was always drinking on an empty stomach. And I used to get so upset at myself because it used to happen to me a lot when we had something going on. Let's say we were going over to a friend's house to go hang out. I wouldn't eat all day, and then I would get super drunk, and then I would have the hiccups all night long, and then I couldn't speak to anybody. I mean, the hiccups would be so bad that I'd try to talk and I would hiccup, and it would start to make me sick. I would get the hiccups so bad that I would throw up. Because I just kept getting that acid reflux every time that I would hiccup. It would start coming up my throat, and that's where I learned that peanut butter. I don't know how I figured this out. Just one night, I guess I was in my kitchen trying to look for anything that I could. I've done it all. You know, people scaring me, telling me to hold my nose and drink water. I mean, you name it, I've tried it. And the only thing that ever worked for me when I got the hiccups really bad is if I ate a big, huge spoonful of peanut butter and didn't drink anything right after it. You know, I would swallow the peanut butter. And I guess it did something where it, like, stopped that, that whatever that is, it's in your stomach that makes that, make you hiccup the way that you do. I guess the sticky peanut butter would stop that from happening. And still this day, if I ever get hiccups, I'll take a spoonful of peanut butter. It absolutely works. If you ever have the hiccups, get yourself, don't use the crunchy peanut butter. Use like the creamy peanut butter, but it works. It absolutely works. Like I said, still this day, if I ever get the hiccups really bad, I always get a big spoonful of peanut butter and it goes away. But ever since I stopped drinking, I don't get hiccups that often, but it does happen sometimes. But once again, you know, it was a very vivid dream, and I have felt horrible all day. I've had this like dark cloud hanging over me, like I did something bad yesterday, and I didn't. I did not drink yesterday. It was just a dream, and I woke up like completely soaked. You know, I like jerked awake when I woke up, and my wife was up getting ready when I woke up. And she asked me, you know, what's wrong? Because I, like, you know, when I woke up, it was like that. And you know, I told her I was dreaming that I was drinking last night, and it scared me, and it's been on my mind all day. I just cannot get it to go away. But luckily, I didn't drink, and luckily, it was just a dream. But like I said, I can't imagine how I would actually really feel if I was to drink. And just the way that I felt all day today from a dream, I can't imagine. I know that I do not ever want to go back to that ever again. I just don't. So with that said today, guys, please stay safe and stay sober out there today. You know, it's Friday night, and the weekends, Friday nights, you know, especially on Friday nights, you know, the work week's over. You know, you've already worked all week. If you're a Monday through Friday person, you know, you've been at work since Monday, especially if you've had a hard week. You know, and Friday nights are just, it's exciting. And like I was talking about the other day, often we tell ourselves, you know, that we deserve it. I've had a long work week. It's been a bad week. It's been a bad work week. My boss fussed at me this week. Whatever it is, whatever the excuse is, don't fall into that trap. It's just not worth it. You know, that little person on our shoulder often will tell us that it's going to be okay, that you can have that one drink, that you're just going to drink for tonight. But it doesn't work that way. Like I said the other day, you know, once you do it, that cycle begins, and it doesn't stop until you have to really stop it. And then you have to go through that whole process all over again, the whole withdrawal cycle and all that stuff. Just think back. Anytime that you're thinking about that drink, just think back to how difficult it was to stop drinking, because it's not easy. And there's a lot of discomfort that comes with that. And we often forget. We forget about how uncomfortable that period of time was until we started feeling comfortable again. And, you know, the thing with it is that even after you get through that withdrawal period and all that stuff, you still have cravings. We feel bored. You know, life just doesn't feel the same. And if you've got any significant time under your belt right now, any time at all, and you've gotten through that withdrawal period, and you started to find other things to do to fill your time, and those things are actually working, and your life's starting to get better, why go back to that? Why go back to all that mess all over again? Why have to go through that guilt and that shame that you're going to have to go through? And think about all of the people that are going to be upset with you. You have so many people that are proud of you right now. Your family's going to be upset. Your friends are going to be upset. And like I said the other day as well, you know, when you go back to it again, you know, people start losing trust in us. And trust is one of those things. It takes a lifetime to build and a second to lose. And if there is anything in this world that I can say that is worth more than its weight in gold, is to have trust. When people believe in us and trust in us, it's such a good feeling. And we don't realize how important it is. Having trust is like your health. We take it for granted. And I'm not saying everybody does. If you're one of those people that thinks about it every single day, then good for you. But I know myself, trust is one of those things that we take for granted. Like I said, it's just like health. You don't realize how important it is until it's gone. And I know myself, I've lost trust many times with people, especially my family and my wife, promising that I wasn't going to drink again and then breaking that promise. And then my wife finding me or catching me drinking, and then I lose that trust all over again. And it takes so long to get it back. And it's one of those things, you can beg and you can plead and you can make all the promises in the world, but it doesn't matter. It's one of those things that takes time to gain back. And you just don't want to go through that. You really don't. You just don't want to. It's just not worth it. So catch yourself a good movie tonight. Make yourself a big thing of popcorn. Get yourself a nice non-alcoholic beverage of your choice. A hot cup of coffee, a hot tea, a nice soda, whatever it is. Stop by the store and get yourself a slushie or something on your way home tonight. Just don't indulge with the alcohol. And enjoy your Friday night tonight. And wake up tomorrow morning and you'll have the whole weekend ahead of you. The whole weekend. Because I know, and you guys know as well, that when you drink on a Friday night, the whole weekend's ruined. You wake up Saturday morning, you feel horrible, you spend the whole entire day laying in the bed, and then you've got to, order some takeout, you got to get some, DoorDash, and because you got to have that to feel better, you got to get your Taco Bell in you, and you've got to go get some Gatorades, and you've got to, lay in the bed and watch a movie and all that jazz, and you've got to have ice cream or whatever it is, and you spend all day Saturday just laying around, eating junk food, drinking Gatorades, nursing yourself back to health, and then, you wake up Sunday morning and you still don't feel great. The whole weekend's gone. If you don't drink tonight, you wake up tomorrow morning, you've got the whole weekend ahead of you. You can go do whatever you want to go do, whatever your heart desires, and you're going to feel good about it. And then you can wake up again on Sunday and do it all over again. The weekend lasts so much longer when we don't drink. And time is one of those things as well. Our time is limited here. And we only have but so much time. And we only have but so much time of being young enough to be able to go out and be able to do fun things. Why waste it laying in your bed feeling like crap because you wanted to have one fun night? It just isn't worth it. It really isn't. So with that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here for today. I love you guys so much. And until tomorrow, I will see y'all then. Y'all have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye.